The woman who makes an avoidant man obsessed with her is not the one who loved him the most. She is the one who needed him the least. Read that again, because it goes against everything most people believe about how to get close to someone who keeps pulling away. Most people think the answer is to show up more, be more patient, be more understanding. Try harder, give more, make it so obvious that you care that he simply cannot. That is always the advice, but here is what nobody says out loud. The more you try with an avoidant man, the more he pulls away. Not because he does not like you, not because you are doing something wrong, but because trying, when he can feel the need underneath it, feels like pressure, and pressure does not make an avoidant man open up. Pressure makes him disappear. So then why is it that some women seem to get deep inside an avoidant man's head without even appearing to try? Why does the man who says he likes his space stay up at night thinking about a specific woman? Why does the man who avoids emotional conversations keep replaying one woman's words in his head for days? Why does a very specific way of talking, not a trick, not a strategy, just the way she speaks, pull him in deeper than anything else ever could? And the answer changes how you understand not just avoidant men, but every relationship you will ever be in. This is not about playing games. This is not about acting distant to make him chase. This is about understanding what is actually happening inside an avoidant man when a woman talks to him in a way he has genuinely never experienced before. Because the moment you understand it, his behavior stops being a mystery. It stops feeling personal. And the moment it stops feeling personal, you stop reacting to it from. And when you stop reacting from fear, everything about the way you show up changes. So let us start with the thing most people skip over entirely, where an avoidant man actually comes from. Not the job he has, not the life he built, the world he grew up in before he had any say in the matter, because here is the truth about avoidant men that most people walk straight past. They are not empty. They did not decide one day that they were going to keep everyone at arm's length for fun. They learned to be this way. They were taught by life that this was the safest way to exist. And there is a world of difference between someone who does not feel and someone who felt too much, too early, and decided never again. Think about what it does to a kid when they try to connect and get nothing back. Not cruelty, not anger, just nothing. Maybe the parent was there but not really there. Maybe showing feelings led to being told to toughen up. Maybe asking for things led to disappointment. Maybe the home was unpredictable, some days warm, some days cold, and no way to know which one it would be. What does a kid learn in that environment? They learn that the safest version of themselves is the version that does not ask for much. They learn that wanting something from someone is how you get let down. So they adapted, they got really good at being on their own. They stopped bringing their feelings to other people because other people were not a safe place to bring them. They figured out how to feel okay without anyone else's help. And the part of them that still wanted connection, that still wanted someone to actually know them and not just know of them, that part learned to stay quiet. Maybe they outgrew it. Maybe they became successful and independent and genuinely fine on the surface. But underneath all of that, deep in the place they never talk about, the old hunger was still sitting there. Not hunger for attention, not hunger for someone to chase them. Closeness that does not feel like a trap connection, that does not feel like losing. Someone who actually gets them without needing them to explain themselves every 5 minutes. They just did not believe that existed, and every relationship they had confirmed it. Someone always needed too much. Someone always pushed too hard. Someone always turned quiet moments into heavy conversations. And their whole system said, "See, this is why we do not." And then something happens that they did not plan for. They meet a woman who is different, not perfect, not some fantasy version of a person, just genuinely, quietly different in the way she talks and the way she carries herself. And something inside them starts to move that has not moved in a very long time. Now here is what most people miss. The thing that gets to an avoidant man is not how a woman looks. It is not how exciting she is or how fun. The thing that actually gets inside him, the thing that stays with him when he is driving home alone and the world is quiet, is how he feels when he is talking to her. Not how he feels about her, how he feels about himself when he is with her. Because most conversations for an avoidant man come with a low hum of tension underneath. Not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet background alarm. Is this going somewhere uncomfortable? Is she going to need some? Is this going to turn into something heavy that I have to manage? That hum is always running. He stopped noticing it a long time ago because it is just the normal background noise of being close to someone. But with this woman, the hum stops. And that is so rare for him that the first time it happens, he almost does not trust it. She does not drop hints and wait for him to catch them. She does not say she is fine when she is not fine and then go cold when he... She just says the actual thing, not in a harsh way, not in a blunt way that feels like a slap, just simply directly, like she is not afraid of her own feelings and she is not making them his problem either. Maybe she says, I missed hearing from you this week. That is it. No edge behind it. No, and where were you? No hidden test waiting underneath it to see how he responds. Just the truth. Said, maybe she says, I am having a rough day today and I just wanted to say that to someone. Not I am having a rough day and I need you to fix it. Not I am having a rough day and if you do not check in later I am going to feel like you do not care. Just honest. Just real. Just said and then released. Maybe when he goes quiet for a day or two, she does not immediately reach out to ask what is wrong. She does not send a short message that is clearly designed to test whether he is still there. She does not go cold herself to punish him for needing space. She just continues her day. Her own life is moving. Her own thoughts are keeping her company. And when he does come back, she is warm. Not relieved, not performing. I was completely fine with that when she was not. Actually warm because she actually was fine. That is the thing that most women who are dealing with avoidant men never get told. The reason they end up anxious, it is because avoidant behavior creates anxiety in people who are paying attention. When someone is inconsistent, when the warmth comes and goes, when you can feel him pulling away and you do not know why, of course you reach out more, of course you try harder, of course you start wondering what changed and what you can do to fix it. That is a completely normal human response. But here is the problem, that response. No matter how understandable it is, and wait makes him back up further. Not because he is cruel, because his whole system is built to move away from pressure, even when the pressure is coming from someone who loves him and is just scared of losing him. This woman does not do that, not because she is playing it cool, because she is genuinely okay. She is not performing patience while quietly panicking. She is actually honestly living her life. She has things she cares about that have nothing to do. She has friends she talks to, things she is working on, a whole inner world that does not rise and fall based on how quickly he texts back. And that combination, the honesty without pressure, the warmth without desperation, the directness without edge, that is something his nervous system has almost no reference point for. His whole system starts scanning for the catch. He waits for the moment it turns heavy. He waits for the guilt trip. It just keeps not coming. And slowly, without meaning to, he starts relaxing in a way he almost forgot was possible. And something deeper starts happening. Because it is not just that he feels calm around her. It is that the story he has been telling himself about who he is starts to feel a little less certain. See, avoidant men do not just have distance as a habit. They have a whole explanation for why the distance makes sense. The story goes, I am just not that emotional. Relationships always get messy and I do better on my own. I have tried opening up before and it never goes the way you hope. This is just how I am. That is just who I am. That story is not just something he tells other people. It is what he uses to explain himself to himself. Every time he pulls away, every time he keeps things surface level, every time he chooses solitude over closeness. The story is there to make it feel like a personality instead of a wound. But then he is around this woman and the story starts cracking. Because if closeness always leads somewhere bad, why does talking to her feel easy? If opening up always makes things complicated, why does he actually want to tell her things he has not told anyone? If relationships always cost him something, why does being around her feel like getting something back? The story does not hold the same way it used to, and that is uncomfortable. Because if the story is wrong, then all those years of keeping people at arm's length were not strength, they were protection. And protection is not something you brag about. It is something you built because you were scared. And sitting with that is not simple. So he does what avoidant men do when something gets too close to the truth. He pulls back a little, gets quiet, needs some room. And this is the moment, this is the exact moment that decides whether the connection grows. Most women, when he pulls back, move toward him. They check in more. They try to close the distance. And to an avoidant man, that movement, even when it comes from love, feels like exactly what he was trying to get away from. So he backs up further, and she reaches further. And the whole thing starts to collapse under the weight of two people moving in opposite directions. But this woman does something different. She lets him go quiet. She genuinely does not panic. She trusts that the space is not the same as rejection. She keeps going about her life. She stays warm, she stays available, but she does not chase. He notices that. He notices it more than he expected to, because he was bracing for it. He was already preparing for the pull, already expecting the weight to come back, and it does not. She just stays the same, steady, easy, not pressing. And instead of relief that she is giving him what he asked for, he feels something closer to curiosity. And after curiosity comes something he did not see coming. He leans in, not in a grand way, not in a dramatic, I suddenly realize what I had way, in a small way. A longer message than usual, a question he did not have to ask, a detail he shares that he did not plan to. Just a slight, quiet, almost and every time that happens without something going wrong, without her using it against him, without it turning into something heavy, his brain takes a note. It files it away. It starts slowly, quietly rewriting the rule he has been living by. Closeness does not always hurt. This one does not hurt. This one actually feels good. That rewrite is everything, because the brain does not forget feelings that are tied to relief. It goes back to them. It starts looking forward to them. It starts associating the person who gave that feeling with something it has been quietly hungry for without. She becomes linked in his mind with that feeling, the way a warm room is linked with coming in from the cold. He does not decide to attach to her. He just notices somewhere along the way that she has become important in a way he did not see coming. Now, if you stay with this until the very end, you are going to understand the exact thing that can turn that attachment into something he cannot shake, even when he is trying to. Because what happens next is the part that explains behavior in avoidant men that most people call confusing or cold, but is actually something completely different once you see what is driving it. And that understanding is going to change how you see yourself in this dynamic, not just how you see him. So here is what happens. Things have been good. He has been feeling that ease with her. His guard has been coming down, not all at once. Slowly, the way it always has to be with people like him. And then something shifts. Maybe she has a hard week and comes to him heavier than usual. Maybe she starts needing a bit more from him than she had before. Maybe the easy quality of their conversation starts carrying a different feeling underneath. Her messages feel a little more loaded. Her check-in start feeling like something she is doing to manage her own anxiety rather than because she just wanted to connect. She is not doing anything terrible. She is being human. She is having a hard time and reaching for the person she has started to trust. But to him, those small shifts feel enormous, because his whole system has been quietly waiting for this, waiting for the moment the safe thing becomes heavy. And the moment it does, the alarm that had gone quiet starts running again. And here is the surprising part. He does not just detach and move on the way most people assume he will. Something more complicated. The safe feeling he had with her starts to feel uncertain, and his brain, which had started depending on that feeling without him even realizing it, does not handle uncertain well. He starts replaying conversations. He starts trying to figure out what changed. He notices her tone in a way he never used to. He thinks about her more, not less. He goes quiet on the outside while getting louder on the inside. And the man who everyone assumes does not get attached is now quietly one of the most focused people. That is what happens when you give someone consistent relief and then it becomes unpredictable. The brain does not give up on wanting it. It works harder to get it back. It becomes almost preoccupied with returning to the state that felt good. That is not weakness. That is just how human brains work when something they value starts to feel uncertain. And this is what most people never see about avoidant men. They see the quiet and assume he is fine. They see the distance and assume he does not care. But what is actually happening inside him, especially when it is with someone who made him feel genuinely safe, is often the opposite. He cares. He just does not know what to do with it, because caring about someone actually needing them for something still feels risky in a way he cannot fully override just because he wants to. So he sits in the gap between what he feels and what he will allow him, and that gap can look like coldness. It can look like he is over it. It can look like he was never as into it as she thought. But it is none of those things. It is just a person who is fighting with themselves, who wants to go back to something but is scared of what going back means. And here again, what happens next depends entirely on her. If she panics and starts chasing, she confirms the fear and he backs away. But if she stays grounded, if she keeps being the person he was drawn to in the first place, if she can say, I feel like something shifted between us and I am not sure what it is, said simply, without making it an accusation, without loading it with fear, just honest and calm and real. Something in him exhales, because that kind of honesty, the kind that does not come with a threat underneath it, is and hearing it again, especially in a moment where he expected something harder, reminds him of why he let her in at all. He comes back. Maybe not immediately, but he comes back. And every time that cycle happens and the connection survives it, the roots go a little deeper. He starts believing something he has not believed in a very long time. That being close to someone does not have to cost him himself. That belief changes everything. He starts opening up in small ways he would never have before. He starts reaching out first sometimes. He starts being more honest about what he wants and what is going on with him. Not because he became a different person, because she made it feel safe enough to be a fuller version of this one. Now here is what this actually means for you. If you love an avoidant man and you cannot figure out why he runs hot and cold, if you have been trying harder and harder and if you have been told that patience and effort and being there for him is the answer, but it keeps backfiring, this is what you need to hear. The most powerful thing you have is not your effort. It is your groundedness, not fake groundedness. Not performing that you are fine when you are not fine. Real groundedness. The kind that comes from knowing who you are separate from him. The kind that lets you say this is not working for me. The kind that lets you give him space without it feeling like punishment. The kind that lets you say what you feel clearly, simply, without loading it with all the fear underneath it. He can feel the difference between those two things. His whole system was built to detect pressure, even when it is disguised as patience. He knows the difference between a woman who is genuinely okay and a woman who is performing okay to get a result. And that gap, no matter how small, is the difference between him relaxing and him backing up. So the real question is not how do you talk to him. The real question is how do you get to the place inside yourself where you genuinely are okay, where his silence does not send you into a spiral, where your sense of yourself does not depend on how he is behaving today, where you can want him without needing him to be okay. Because when you get to that place, something shifts that has nothing to do with strategy or technique. The way you say what you mean because you are not afraid of the answer. You give space because you actually trust yourself in the quiet. You stop chasing because you know your own worth does not disappear when someone pulls away. And that version of you is not just more attractive to an avoidant man, it is more powerful in every relationship you will ever be. That is when you can say, I like you, but I need to know if this is actually going somewhere, and say it without anger, without ultimatum, just honestly and clearly from a place of self-respect. That is when he hears it differently, because there is no desperation underneath. Just a real person who knows what she wants and is not afraid to say it. Avoidant men do not fall for women who need them the most. They fall for women who want them but do not fall apart without them. That is the specific feeling. And when a man who has spent his whole life keeping people at a careful distance finally finds a woman who gives him that feeling, he does not just like her. He cannot stop thinking about her. He replays things she said. He notices when she is not around. He finds himself wanting to tell her things before he has even decided to share them. He becomes quietly protective of what they have in a way. He starts doing things he told himself he does not do. Not because she fixed him or changed him, because she made it feel safe enough to be a more honest version of who he already was. And none of that happened because she tried to make it happen. It happened because she stopped performing and started being real. She stopped chasing and started living. She stopped trying to be what she thought he needed and became more of what she actually was. That is the whole thing. That is the real answer to why certain women get inside avoidant men in a way that no one else ever manages to. Not louder love, not harder work, not more sacrifice, just honesty, groundedness, clarity about what she wants, and the quiet, unshakable sense that she deserves a real connection and is not going to pretend a half one is enough. When he finds that, the man who said he did not need anyone starts feeling something. This one is different.